I feel very sad this morning. The noise you can hear in the background are the Kango drills from flat 1. Thank God I'm at the front of the block. That's been going on during the period they're allowed to drill from 12 onwards. The Kango drills, according to the noise team, are not supposed to be as noisy, are not supposed to emit the decibel level of the slab drills. But believe me, when you're in your flat, in that confined area, there's no difference at all. I'm still waiting for someone to come out from the noise team, from the incident, for the incident last Tuesday. But no one has been so far. I'm still waiting. I feel very sad that nothing has been done. Dry marble cutting is going on. No one has been out to the site to see what the protocol is for cutting marble. It is the absolute job of the dust team when they are called out by concerned tenants. It is their job. That's what they are paid to do. And they are clearly at fault in this matter. The video previous to this one was interrupted, not by the visitor from Porlock, as in the case of Coleridge, but by Barry phoning me. And I felt just simply too sad to get back to this whole situation. I've just been left feeling completely dumbfounded all week. I'm clearly going to have to start time coding and dating my videos. I think it's about, according to the clock, about 1:05, and it's Monday, the 19th. Of August 2013. The incident with the dry dust cutting took place last Tuesday from about 11 onwards, but the cutting had been going on prior to that, to when I picked up on it. So on Wednesday, when the last video about that incident, about marble dust emissions, I haven't been able to get back. A, I've not felt like getting back, and B, I've been waiting for Kevin Buck to make that visit to this site before I made this video. Of course he hasn't been. There was never any chance of him coming. As I told the dust officer at the time, Kevin Buck does not get back to me. It is the absolute imperative duty of the dust team to get back. There is a protocol for cutting dry marble, and I believe a water spray has to be used to cut down on the dust. This needs absolutely to be checked upon, and this hasn't been done. Why the dust team and the noise team are fused is beyond me. I cannot understand why this would be. I told the dust officer that Kevin Buck would not get back to me but he assured me that he would. I'm still waiting for that call and for that visit. Kevin Buck's habit is to visit the builders and not come near me, but I don't think he has been to this site at all. The managers are not at fault here. They have closed the windows to contain the marble. The windows at the front are closed. I haven't checked the back. How the dust officer could have failed to see the evidence of dust around him and in front of him, all around him, is beyond me, because the windows are covered in marble dust. There would have been marble tiles present on the site, but because he didn't see the actual men cutting, because I had spoken to Pat Etherson about 20 minutes before to warn him that the men were cutting marble and it was forming a cloud haze that was floating upwards to the other open windows of this block. Perhaps Pat Etherson did something about that and stopped the men from cutting. Pat would know that I would have already made that call to the dust team. At least they do respect that my protest is a valid protest and that calls to various authorities is a part of that protest. When I see clear violations of our safety. I spoke to the environmental health officer responsible for premises management, Mr. Robert Sale, the next morning, which would be Thursday morning, and I was quite distressed. I told him that there was no way at all I was being subjected to toxic dust from marble or granite again. This happened in 2010 to 11 when marble and granite was being cut in the garage area at the back of my flat. We could get no one to come out for the whole of that time, for the whole of that 6 weeks, and the saws never seemed to stop. The cutting went on and on, the drone of those saws in the garage area. I told him there was no way I was doing this, going through with this, being exposed to this hazardous, toxic dust in my lungs again. And even with a message from Robert Sale, who promised to get back to the dust team, Kevin Buck has still not visited this site. There's nothing we can do. I blame the noise team absolutely for the situation that we've got in this block. I no longer blame the builders. I blame the noise team. I feel that they are entirely culpable. I blame residential land for not overseeing this site more thoroughly. The windows are closed. There's possibly nothing more the builders can do. There's a lot more the dust team could do, but they won't. They say in order to obtain a prosecution, they have to have absolute evidence of their own on video from a visit, a random visit, that marble is being cut or granite. And it's the same scenario as with the noise team. Unless they hear it with their own ears, and they're deaf now and blind, it doesn't exist in reality at all. I have felt very bitter for the past week and very, very low in mood because my protest is going nowhere. It's achieving nothing. The only achievement is in the people who watch the video. And for them I shall always be eternally grateful. A few of those people are friends. Many are unknown to me. The saddest thing I feel is that Will spoke to me on Thursday, and if it were not for this situation of confrontation, protest, which is after all an environmental protest of a kind, against air pollution, against noise pollution, if it were not for the situation of us being thrown together as enemies, implacable enemies, had we been neighbours in another situation, it would have been great to have him as a neighbour. He's someone I do respect after last Thursday. It's been a learning curve the whole of this 20 weeks, and it is 20 weeks today. It's been a learning curve for me too. That the managers are not wholly bad as I thought they were, but the noise team and the dust team are worse than I thought they were. Far worse. They're not doing their job, the job they are being paid to do. There are many, many people who could do that job and who would do that job who are unemployed at this moment. And yet the noise team and the dust team, it would appear, have nothing better to do than waste the public's time in visits to sites that are going nowhere. I would like to know, have they ever prosecuted anyone at all for anything? They've got a reputation, the noise team, for being vigilant about seizing the stereo equipment of mental health patients. They seem to do that with absolute alacrity, or so I've been told. They do move against the helpless, but they never ever move against builders. They just target the vulnerable. The dust team, it was their call last week, and they failed to make that call. And I feel very angry. And there's still nothing that can be done. The complaint that was made about the noise team should have been with us last week. It's not been replied to. When we phoned up last week, we were told that it hasn't been completed yet. I don't know whether this latest incident will become a part of that complaint. I don't know. So, it's been a learning curve for everyone. And I don't regret the protest. I'm just sad that it takes so much out of me. I had thought that I was stronger than I am. There's huge, huge pressure on me to sort my flat out before the furniture comes back. The furniture that is in storage and has been for 2 years. But there's nothing I can do in my flat. The noise is too great from flat 1. There was even noise from flat 16, I think, when I went in for a break. A 15-minute break last week. The noise was intolerable. So, there's a lot going on in the background, in my own life, outside this protest, and I'm too tired to deal with it. I don't regret the protest. It's been a positive good for everyone. The people that have not come out of this are residential land and Westminster Council. On Saturday I recorded Barry reading his poetry and reading Shelley's ode to a skylark, and I got away from this site altogether. In one of the videos, a typical day in the life of the protest, I observed that there were three lime trees. There are actually 6. We're so incredibly fortunate to have these 6, what I like to think of as sibling lime trees, all growing on both sides of the road. 6 of them in absolute majesty at this time of the year. I think in that video I said that Brian Hoare stood by for 10 years. He stood in protest. I think I said the Abbey Road. It was certainly not the Abbey Road. Brian Hoare mounted his protest in Parliament Square. And the fumes from the traffic for 10 years probably hastened his death. He died from lung cancer. So I've corrected 2 mistakes that I made in that video. I feel humbled by the protest. Very humbled. I've made mistakes of my own. Mistakes about people. I thought I was a good judge of character. But at 64, I have had to learn that I can make mistakes too. And my neighbours have actually been quite supportive. Something that I wasn't expecting. The young people that are coming here, I've been told all the flats are sold, seem charming, and it will bring in some fresh, new ideas into the block. I don't know how long more I have to go on for. The black lacquer doors have been measured up and will be fitted very soon, and the common parts are to be decorated. 2013 I will remember as one of the more painful years of my life. To lose 4 cats, almost 4. One of them died just before, at the end of the year. And to have to do a protest that I wasn't ready for has been very hard indeed. I'm trying to show you the placard, which now reads 20 weeks of demolition drilling. The year has not been wasted, but there's no poetry, no sign of any poetry, and I feel empty and lost without the poetry, in waiting to be written down. It's absolutely not there. And I've never gone as long as this, except once, in 1995, when I wrote nothing for a year. It looks like 2013 is going to be the same as that year. This wonderful garden, this blue villa, continues to sustain me, and the lime trees. And I'm left to wonder how long more I have to do here. But they have sustained me and kept me going. And maybe I will write about the 3 lime trees, the triangle of lime trees that I'm trapped within.